Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out, click subscribe, and show your support. If you are a YouTube user, make sure you click that bell so it tells you every time a new episode goes live. Guys, are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively to Facebook users. Create a wrestler, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, build your own corporation. Heck, come up with unique match types that have just never been done before. All included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users, totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, want your name in the shout-outs like my good buddy John down in Texas, then make sure you pop over to the Pro Wrestling Podcast Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today, contribute $15 a month. We'll get you on a live show. $7.50 a month. We'll get you into a drawing to do the same. And welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you've got questions, comments, concerns, something you want us to talk about in a future episode, then give us a call over at the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line, 267-642-1160. Questions, comments, concerns, whatever it is, send it to us there. We'll try to get to it in a future episode. Don't forget, check out our homepage at ProWrestling.com. But right now, we got to jump into the news. Last night's Raw XXX absolutely bringing in big numbers. Now, we're not just talking about big numbers in terms of viewership. We're also talking about the gate at the door. The announced attendance of over 16,000 fans in attendance for Raw. WrestleTix had to figure closer to around 14,500. But the word is it is the highest gate for a live episode of Raw in the history of the company. Kudos to my Philadelphia loyal people out here in my area. But apparently last night's show must have been exactly what people were looking for, because they killed it last night. Everybody showed up. Every seat was filled. And more importantly, the ratings on television, the average viewership across the 3 hours, 2.344 million viewers. 908,000 viewers in the key demographic of 18 to 49. That is what they look for. It was number one in the ratings for the evening, and that's huge. Absolutely huge. Just to put that in terms for you, the three separate hours. First hour did 2.635 million viewers, which is huge. Hour 2, 2.373, and hour 3, 2.024. All are big ratings, and I feel bad for the people who tuned out towards the end because you didn't get to see the return of Brock Lesnar. But compared to last year, same week last year, where they had 1.8, 1.8, 1.5, it just tells you how much better this episode was and how much people are really connecting to what they see on the show. Now, there are some issues with the show. Let's be honest. I love the Brock stuff. I really enjoyed some of the Legends stuff. I thought that was pretty well done. But there were definitely some places where things could have gone better. Hulk Hogan's microphone not cutting out on him to start the show would have been great. That would have been fantastic. Doing something a little more substantial with some of the Legends. I thought that the DX segment, though it kind of aligns with the way DX has always been historically in the past, way too much, because I get it. People understand that they're smart to the business. It's not, there's a script and whatnot. I get all that. But you don't have to go so over the top with emphasizing that you absolutely slaughter kayfabe altogether. It would have been better to have them intimidate DX and have people come out and make the save rather than do all the verbiage that they did with DX. So I didn't exactly love that part of it. I hated the fact that the women's cage match essentially got canceled because of what happened earlier with the Bloodline trial. But I also thought the Bloodline trial was fantastic. I thought the whole interchange between Sami Zayn just ready to take his punishment, a solo moment there, and Jey Uso coming over and saving him, and the video package. I thought all that was really well done. I just didn't love that it came at the expense of the women's match, which I thought would have been a great highlight for the show. And apparently I'm not the only one, because the big conversation today, part of it at least, is that the Bella Twins, who were heavily advertised that they were going to be a part of the show, who obviously they did not appear, were incredibly frustrated. And they were frustrated because there was a lack of women's viewership or representation on the 30th episode. I mean, think about all the women that have come through WWE in the time that Raw has been on the air, from the Sunnies, the Chynas, the Tori Wilsons, the Sables, all those people, Lita, Trish Stratus, the list goes on and on. They had one legendary female there, which was Alundra Blaze, which is fantastic. I think Medusa's a fantastic representative of women's wrestling. Don't get me wrong. I think she could probably still go if she wanted to. But the Bellas didn't show up. There was a conversation of Lita being there, who ended up not being there. There just wasn't a lot of representation from the legendary women of WWE. And there was no mention, really, of some of the most important people, like Paige, like Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné or whatever. You can say Sasha Banks. You own the copyright to it. Say it. She's a part of your history. There was a very little talk of the rest of the horsewomen or any of the other divas that came through during the diva era. The Jazzes and people like that. They needed to include the women more, and the Bella Twins clearly very upset about it, and really their decision not to appear is a big one. And apparently there's some major heat between the Bellas and WWE now over that. The other person on the ladies' side of things, not featured obviously because she's off television and out of the company, Mandy Rose complaining. She put a quote out there into the New York Post, and she said, "I'm grateful and very humble with everything I've done that made the company," meaning WWE, "but in today's day and age, there are so many other avenues and so many other marketing opportunities. It's like, why can't I do both? At the end of the day, I'm the only one watching out for myself and my career. Everyone's replaceable in our business. It's true. What's the definition of racy? A photo of me with 2 titles. I was completely naked underneath. That's considered a racy photo, right?" I don't know. I haven't seen the photos. Don't care to. But what I can tell you is you sign a contract. The contract stipulates what you are and are not allowed to do. I think she's a fantastic wrestler. I think she had a lot more she could have contributed to the business. I'm thrilled for her that she's making so much money now that she's not doing wrestling, because good for her. She's doing whatever she thinks she needs to do to make money. At the same time, when you agree to terms and you do not have creative control on your outside of the business endeavors, that is what it is. And this is not some new thing. This started way back when they tried to shut down Twitch channels for Paige and things like that. You do what your contract states. When you're told to stop, you stop. Now, look, I get it. She made a mark in wrestling. She's moved on to other things. And maybe, hypothetically, she may never come back. Who knows if she keeps making money doing this? But I really appreciated the fact that both Jim Cornette, Brian Last, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, all of them seem to have very similar opinions on their different podcasts, talking about the fact that that gets old after a while. I mean, yeah, I was speaking to one of my listeners the other day, and their opinion was, what is it going to be? Is this one of those things for the rest of your life? You're just going to change the color of the outfit you wear on your fans' page, and eventually they're going to get bored with that. That's why, people like Sunny are no longer popular. It gets old as you get older. So this was an opportunity, yes, to make a killing as soon as she was let go. But going forward, there's a reason you can't do both. It's because the company who controls your creative said so. I'm not telling you whether you have to agree with their policy or not, but you agreed to the contract, and that's why you were let go. If that was a gut punch, you could have seen it coming. They are very concerned about what goes on with their television. They're a publicly traded company, and that's why things are what they are. People need to understand that. Let's jump into some other news. The Brian Cage AEW contract is coming to an end very soon, in the next couple weeks. He had his contract extended. He was a little surprised about that because they don't really use him on television all that much. But apparently it's coming due very soon. He sent some feelers to WWE to see if there'd be any interest in him. I don't know how any company wouldn't be interested in somebody of that size, that body, with that kind of agility, but apparently there's some questions about whether they would or not. I think WWE should jump all over him. But apparently he's going to be a free agent very soon. I can't imagine, with the horrible way he's been booked, that he's going to want to re-up with AEW. But hey, you never know. If you throw some money at the guy, if you get concerned with the fact that maybe he's going to leave and go elsewhere anyways, maybe you don't lock him up. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Other AEW news, Mark Briscoe, after the horrible tragedy of losing his brother Jay last week, the common theme that we've always heard for the last several months, going back to the beginning of the FTR series, is how the Briscoe brothers were not able to be on television. Now that this horrible situation has come to pass, apparently this week, Mark Briscoe will face Jay Lethal on AEW Dynamite to honor his brother's legacy. And I love that that's happening. I love that Tony Khan has gotten this cleared by Warner Media. They were the ones who didn't want reference to the Briscoes at all on television in the past, or even really in the current. And I'm glad that they're getting to do this, because Jay deserves this. Great ambassador for the business, did a lot in his community. If you've never heard the Cult of Cornette or the Corny Drive-Thru podcast or shows that he does, listen to the episode, the part where he talks about Jay Briscoe. I've heard a lot of Jim Cornette stuff, and I've never heard him get as emotional as it seemed he got at the beginning of that. And it's really moving to hear this incredible letter that he received from a fan who happens to live near Jay Briscoe, who knew Jay Briscoe on a personal level. And I thought it was just a beautiful conversation about his contributions, not only to Ring of Honor, but to the wrestling business in general, and to the most important thing about him, which was being a father. And I think it's incredible that AEW is going to be able to put this match on and really honor his legacy. Nothing we do will be able to fully honor his legacy, but do whatever you can to really honor him in some way, in a bigger way than just, not letting him on television. That's absolutely ridiculous. Other AEW news, the Fight Forever video game being held up over and over and over again, and apparently they submitted the video game to the ESRB twice, trying to get a T rating for teen, and can't seem to get it. People hypothesize that maybe it's because of the blood and gore and violence or whatever of the game. But if you're AEW and you've been around as long as they have in this digital age, especially with the way Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and people like that are connected to the video game culture, I can't believe it's taken this long over something so trivial. Get rid of some of the blood. Get the game out to people. They want to see it. But that is the latest update. It is still being delayed. They still feel confident that they're going to get the T rating, and they sent it in for the third time. Hopefully that gets out very soon. And Jim Ross, kind of a segue from AEW to WWE, offering his insight into how the Royal Rumble is determined, the eliminations and whatnot. Speaking candidly, spoke about the fact that eliminations... I'll paraphrase what was in his Grilling with JR podcast, basically that the eliminations are determined and there's certain sequences that people are told to do, but a lot of it is made up on the fly. You go out there, you can't possibly script out an hour-plus long match with 30 different people coming in and out 2 times that night, because you have a men's and a women's now, that a lot of it is ad-lib in the ring, and that just goes to tell you just how incredible the Royal Rumble is. It was always my favorite pay-per-view, including WrestleMania. Because of just the unpredictability of it. And I think this year's is going to be incredible. I hope they really do some things to pop the people, pop the crowd, and make this a special one. I still expect Cody to go over and win the whole thing, but we're going to have to wait and see. There's a lot of craziness going on right now in the world of WWE, and it could really have an effect on that match. The Brock Lesnar return, clearly setting up a program with Bobby Lashley, probably for Mania, because it's too late to build to a program at the Rumble. I don't think you want to put that match on at No Way Out or something like that. So that's probably headed for Mania, which takes Brock out of the equation, thank God. Cody's a natural fit. Now, the word is The Rock is out. He doesn't think he can get in shape in time for Mania. Now, maybe they're just saying that so that we don't, maybe we don't get, our hopes up for something that's not going to happen. Then people are feeling deflated. A lot of times that happens in wrestling. And then a report came out that blew my mind. It said that there's a potential enormous sum of money being thrown at a particular talent to come in and work WrestleMania. It was originally reported by, I'm trying to remember who the person was who put out the report. I apologize, I can't remember. Maybe it was Wrestling Observer, I can't remember. I want to say I saw it on Wrestle Talk and WrestleZone. Both had articles up about it, that apparently there was a massive offer. And the initial conversation was that the offer was made to Stone Cold Steve Austin to face Roman Reigns, which turns out that's Dave Meltzer's refuting that report on his Wrestling Observer radio show today, talking that it wasn't a match proposed for Stone Cold to face Roman Reigns. However, there was an opportunity for Stone Cold to face Brock Lesnar in a match that everybody thought was going to happen years and years ago before Stone Cold left, and that there was a pitch to give him an obscene amount of money to make that happen earlier this year. Now, the word was that it was supposed to be Lesnar versus Gunther at WrestleMania. Now, I saw a report today that is also off the tables, at least currently, because they're going with the Bobby Lashley thing, which I actually think is a great match for Mania if this is the last time the two wrestle. But I really was starting to look forward to that Gunther match. I'm not sure what they do with Gunther now. In terms of Stone Cold Steve Austin, look, I don't care who you put him in there with. I think if you put him in there with Brock, you draw money. I think if you put him in there with Roman Reigns, you draw a ton of money. I think if you put him in there with somebody else, that would be just fine too. As long as he's on the show, I think it sells, no matter what you do. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us in the next episode. We run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, goes out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing any music or sound effects we use in our shows. Today's podcast sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to frowrestling.com and clicking the icon in the middle of the screen today to pick up your copy. And if you're looking for your next career move, maybe you're thinking about college, university life, maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our sister website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us tonight. Until next time, take care, everybody, and have a great evening.